Russell Westbrook and the Lakers are back home for a while. They didn't take advantage of a lot of winnable games to open the year. Russ and company to bank some wins before the schedule gets tougher. DeAndre Jordan certainly looks like a tough customer. Nice hat to sell that role. Different style headwear for AD. Is he healthy? Lots of questions to answer with the Lakers big man. It's the first of 5 straight at Staples Center as the Lakers welcome the high-octane Charlotte Hornets. Tip-off 7:30 here on Spectrum SportsNet. The Lakers have won the last 5 meetings. Hello and welcome to Access Sportsnet Lakers, brought to you by your Southern California Toyota dealers, Chris McGee, Rob Ory, James Worthy, Michael Bresnahan, and Allie Clifton will join us in a little bit. We're going to hear from Mike Trudell. Let's start things off with some good news around here. We're starting the show after leaving Saturday's game with an illness. AD is back in the starting lineup tonight versus the Hornets. AD has also been working through a lingering thumb issue, but he fit enough to start as the Lakers will roll out the same starting lineup as Saturday with Westbrook, Bradley, Jordan, AD, and baseball. All right, so let's get you live to Staples Center where the Lakers will be for their next 5 games. Mike Trudell is there with the latest. Hey, Mike.
What's happening, guys? Welcome down to Staples Center. And, you know, Frank Vogel has been thinking about the starting lineup, about the rotation, not just the last couple of days, but since the Lakers roster actually came together in the offseason. And we've gone, a lot of these conversations have gone towards, all right, a small lineup versus big lineup. And as he shares here a couple moments ago, I think that they want to go with a small lineup, but having no LeBron, having no Trevor Ariza has made that a little bit more difficult, just given what they want from defensive coverage standpoints from the big wing position. So here's Frank explaining that better than I could a couple moments ago.
We got to play better, you know what I mean? And sometimes that means, you know, shifting the lineup. Sometimes it means just playing better, you know what I mean? And, you know, we didn't play a great game. You know, there's a temptation to start tonight with AD at the 5. You know, for offensive spacing reasons. We're really thin with, you know, with LeBron and Trevor being out. And, you know, having Carmelo have such great energy off the bench at home, you know, I don't want to break that rhythm. So we would have to be super small to start AD at the 5. And, you know, we're going to start the same way with DJ at the 5 and Avery and Bays and Russ with AD. You know, Melo will be in there a bunch with AD at the 5, but we're not going to start that way.
Sure. We touched on LaMelo briefly this morning, and you said that you feel like you have some sort of plan that you could be effective against him. Removing your plan, you said that you think he's an all-star. Do you think this is like a generational type of player, or what have you seen in a year change that impress you about his play?
Yeah, it seems that way to me. You know what I mean? You know, obviously it's super early in his career. You know, a lot of things have to play out. You know, but he's got a flair to his game that is very unique, a confidence with how he distributes the basketball, makes his teammates better, you know, carries the threat of, you know, getting really hot from the perimeter. And, you know, he really has it all. He's a dynamic player, and I think he's trending in that path, yes, in that direction.
All right, guys, so Charlotte Hornets come into this game last in the league in defensive rating. The Lakers should be able to score, right? You figure AD should be able to get some stuff going in the paint. Not a lot of defensive talent at the 4-5 positions for Charlotte. So we'll see. We'll see if they can get that done. They certainly need it.
All right, thank you, Mike. Appreciate that. Good work starting off the show. The Lakers did hold a rare full squad shoot-around today after their 105-90 loss to the Blazers on Saturday. The 90 points are the lowest offensive output of the season. Starting lineup did not do themselves any favors, putting up only 24 of those points. The lackluster effort from the starting lineup is tied for the second lowest total from the Lakers starting lineup since 1970. So bad offense without LeBron James. You heard about the extra practice, the extra shoot-around. What do they need to do as a team to generate more offense without LeBron?
You know, you have to move the basketball. You know, if you're not gonna have your dominant guy who has the ball in his hand most of the time, you got to create some movement. I mean, I know Russell is a guy that, you know, does that very well. He attacks, but I think in addition to that, you know, I don't know if they have a passing game in basketball anymore, but you got to make the defense work. And so if AD is available, you got to go in there. As I always say, you got to go in that paint and get really nasty and start control the game early. Maybe get to the free throw line, get some cuts off of that. But you cannot be stagnant, you know, on the offensive end. You know, we talk about defense in a minute, but offensively, you got to move that ball and make the defense work.
For me, I just think, you know, if you watch sometimes when they get the ball off a rebound, they don't push it down the floor fast enough, because that's who Westbrook is. He needs you to get down the floor, probe and see what he can get, and then pull it back out. I think a lot of times they come down and get into sets too early for Westbrook, because he's not that type of guy. He gets into sets after he penetrates a set and then pulls it out and then starts your offense. So for me, I think now with LeBron out, you have a younger crew in there. They can get him down the court, because you got the Monks, you got the Reeves. They can get in and fill those lanes and do.
Because you can't play the same style that you play when LeBron has the basketball in his hand.
Correct.
Yeah, I look for a guy kind of like a Wayne Ellington tonight, someone who we haven't heard from a lot on offense lately. Obviously, he just got back lately, a few games ago maybe. Kent Bazemore, another guy. Not a strong showing for him on offense. It's been a while since you've been able to say Bazemore really contributing on the offensive end. I think it's the other guys, not just the Russ and the ADs and the Carmelos. Those are the guys who are going to have to help them get over this mini little slump they're on. Charlotte, well, Trudell kind of alluded to it. Not a good defensive team. And this team is, you can score on this team. They can score themselves, but these guys do have a chance to put some points on the board. Lakers need to bounce back offensively for sure.
Russell Westbrook is still trying to find his game with the purple and gold. Russ went just 1 for 13 from the field, which ranks as the most field goals missed, with only one made by a Laker since Kobe Bryant in 2005. Westbrook is averaging 19 points per game this season. That's his lowest total since his second year in the league, way back in 2010. Westbrook spoke to the media after Saturday's loss.
From my perspective, probably gotta play harder. And that's strictly just speaking for myself. Do a better job of just being me, you know, consistently, and not confiding my game or how I play, because it just doesn't work for our team. It doesn't work, you know, just in general, just doesn't put me in the position or a pace I need to play at to be able to better my teammates. So that's just something that I need to make sure I'm consistently doing.
Russ coming off his worst game as well. Trust me, he was not the only one. Russ is notoriously a slow starter with his new teams. We saw it in Houston. We saw it in D.C. Do you agree, James, that Russ needs to stay true to himself and to find his game, or does he need to adjust?
I think he has to adjust a little bit, but I think you know how Russ plays. So you can't make him adjust too much. In AD, they'll figure out. But I think you got to figure out a unit that works with him and let him be Russ, because he is so good when he is what he's been his whole career, which is an assist guy, a scoring guy, a rebounding guy, a dominant guy. He also is a willing passer. So I think that's a challenge for the coaching staff to find out a way to maximize his game.
It's a huge challenge for the coaching staff, because there are so many coaches now that have a system. And then you get these great players, and the great players don't fit that system. So you have to adjust your coaching style to those players. And I think Russ and everybody needs to say, hey, Russ, how can we make you better? It's not just something that Russ has to figure out by himself. It's a team thing. When I say team, it's the coaches and his teammates say, yo, Russ, you know, let's sit down. Tell us what you like and what you don't like. Because that's the first thing you ever do as a player when you come to a team that's successful. You say, hey, LeBron, tell me how you like the ball pass, where you like your sweet spots. Even though you might think you know that, but sometimes guys have a different, you know, outlook. Because, you know, scout reports say, oh, he likes over here when he really doesn't. So I think with Westbrook, he needs to just say, yo, man, this is how you guys can make me better. This is where I like you to be when I penetrate. Because there are cues to his game that should tell the players where to be on the court.
Yeah, really surprising to see these numbers the other night. Obviously, he wants to definitely improve upon those. But you're right, Geet. If you go back and look at last year, you know, with the Wizards, remember the season started right before Christmas. His December and his January were not good. He shot under 40%, right around 5.5 turnovers a game. So he is a slow starter. Then you throw in all the different Laker lineups already this season with all the injuries, guys coming back, guys going down. So he's had a little bit of a rough start. There's just a lot of moving pieces for this guy. They need stability, and still they don't have it. LeBron is not going to be in the lineup for a while. You almost feel bad for Russ, but he has to kind of shoot his way back into prominence after a game like the other night.
Yeah, that Wizards team caught fire at the end of last season. They were pretty dangerous going into the playoffs. One thing in one area where Russ really excels, in transition, fast break, getting those kind of buckets, but you have to get defensive stops to do that, and the Lakers have struggled there. We'll talk about it later in the show. All right, keep it here for the Lakers and Hornets. Coming up at 7:30, LeBron James is in the house, but will not be a part of tonight's lineup. LBJ missing his third straight game with an ab strain. And coming up on Access, we tee up Brez's three-point play as our Laker Insider breaks down an explosive Hornets offense, and Carmelo's hot start off